A couple months ago, I published a video where I used AI to add new villagers to Animal Crossing. Since then, AI art has come a really long way, and the full version of the program that I used in the last video has finally become public. So I figured today we can try to revisit the topic, see how AI has gotten better or maybe worse, and see what kind of villagers it can make. Here we are at DALL-E 2, which is an extremely powerful program used for making AI images. Well hey, let's just jump right in. Let's ask for a screenshot from the game Animal Crossing New Horizons depicting a sheep villager. I gotta tell you, I'm excited for this one. I mean, the mini version could get us AI villagers that looked pretty close to real ones, so now that this full version is out, I can imagine that these are gonna look almost perfect. I really just can't. Alright, well that was a bust, sorry about that. If it's any consolation, here's an AI picture of a lizard doing a kickflip. Since that didn't work, we moved back to DALL-E Mini, which is now called Crayon, and I asked it to make me some Animal Crossing villagers. I picked 4 that I thought would work best, and now we're gonna see if we can add more villagers to Animal Crossing by using AI. So this is the first villager that I decided to go with. The first thing that struck me right off the bat was the coloring. I love that kind of seafoam green and the fact that it sort of gradients down at the bottom and gets lighter on the outsides. I really loved all of that. Obviously the eyes are extremely cool, and I just thought that this would work really well as a wolf villager. Originally I wasn't even going to do this villager because in the last video I also did a wolf villager, but I really love everything about this, so I figured that I would just kind of throw that rule out the window and just do it anyway. One thing that's a little bit tough with these AI photos is that they're not really symmetrical, and pretty much all Animal Crossing villagers are symmetrical. So I have to pick and choose which elements I think would work best. So for example, for this wolf, I'm going to be doing his eye on the right side because I think that looks better than the one on the left. This is looking about how I want it to. I had to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how I could do the gradients down the face because it was a little bit wonky, but I think I got it pretty much figured out. Let's check it out in the game. Dude, I really like the way that this one looks. The coloring, it took a lot to get the coloring right. I think it's very, very close. It's not exact, but I really do like the coloring. The eyes are also so cool. I don't know why, but I kind of imagine this villager as like a kind of an old man, kind of similar to Dobie. I don't know, he just kind of gives off that look. Looking at the AI art versus my villager, it's really close. I'm actually surprised at how close it is. I think this is about as close as you would be able to get it basing it off of that picture, and I'm really happy with the way that this one is. You can see here what I was mentioning about the symmetry. I had to choose that right eyebrow just because I thought that that would fit a little bit better, but I did tweak it a little bit so that it would make sense kind of as a middle point between that left and that right eyebrow, and I think it fits the villager really, really well. Overall, I am extremely happy with how this one turned out. Now last time to name our villagers we used fantasynamegenerators.com, and some people got a little bit upset because technically that is not AI name generation, they were just pulling random names and showing them to me. So this time I'll be using an AI that's meant to write stories for you, and I'll describe what our villager looks like, then tell it its name is, and let it finish everything off. I have just made a wolf villager in Animal Crossing New Horizons. The wolf was made by an AI. That's what you are. The wolf is seafoam green and has very unique eyes. His name is Forrest, and he is very kind. He is also a bit shy, but he will warm up to you eventually. Alright, Forrest is actually a really good name for this villager. I actually like that a lot. It's kind of funny that they also gave him a little bit of a backstory talking about how he's a bit shy, but he'll warm up to you eventually. And that's our first villager done. We got Forrest the wolf. The next villager that I wanted to try to do was this dog, because obviously it is very visually striking. The markings on the eyes, the markings on the nose, on the face, pretty much everywhere. I just really loved the shapes that were on the face. I'm realizing now that I'm making it, it's not going to look exactly the same. Like the photo kind of looks like a dog, but it doesn't look like a dog from Animal Crossing. So it's not going to look one-to-one with the AI photo, but I think we can still take those core elements and you'll still be able to tell that they came from the same place. In the picture, you can see he's got like a big, dumb, open mouth. I guess I have to do that. I would rather put just a regular mouth on him, but I guess we're trying to do kind of like as close as we can to the picture. So we'll give him that mouth. I'm just not happy about it. The mouth is definitely a little bit goofy on there, but I think it does give him a little bit of personality. It's kind of funny. The textures on the bottom half of the face look a little bit blurry and kind of pixely. That's because there's a lot of stretching that comes with the dog villagers. I'm not really sure why it does that, but I can't really figure out how to fix that. But looking past that, I think this villager is kind of cute. Definitely not the cutest. I was expecting him to look a little bit cuter or even just more interesting than he does. Looking at them side by side, you can definitely tell that the model is based off of the picture, but I don't think it works quite as well on the dog model as it does in that actual picture. I think there's a lot of potential in the design elements of this villager. I really love all of the shapes and the way that they work together. If it got polished up and didn't try to go one-to-one with the way that the AI looks, I think it could be a potentially really nice villager. I thought that I would like that design on the nose. I think it takes away way too much of the focus from the face. If that was gone, I think that the villager would be improved a whole lot more. But let's go ahead and give him a name. There's a new dog villager in Animal Crossing. He wears a polka dot shirt and has brown fur. He has very distinctive gold markings on his eyes, nose, and mouth. His name is Rusty, and he lives in a camper van outside your town. I think Rusty is a good name in general, but I don't really like it for this particular villager. I don't think it fits very well, but I suppose we're letting the AI write it, so here we have Rusty the dog. Let's take a quick break for me to show you some villagers that didn't end up getting made into full villagers, but I still wanted to show them off for one reason or another. So starting off, we have this elephant, and this elephant I actually originally planned to have be one of the villagers that I made. Something about him was really cool. I think he looks a little bit like a clown, like he's wearing clown makeup over his eyes. I thought that the design was super cool, so I ended up starting making him, and I realized that that does not really look like an Animal Crossing elephant. Actually ended up finishing up the villager, but it just really did not look like how I had imagined it was going to look from the AI photo, so I decided to switch it out with a different villager. I think the picture is really cool and the concept is really nice. It just wouldn't have really fit with this particular video. This pastel cat would have absolutely ruled Animal Crossing. She would have cornered the black market. She would have curb stomped Raymond, all of that. This one is really cute. I just ended up not doing it because, like I said, I didn't want to double up on a species that I had already done in the last video, so I decided to skip this one. Do you ever just look at somebody and immediately know exactly how they would act just from seeing them? That's this guy. I can tell everything about him just by this one picture. I really wanted it to do a different species, so I asked it to make me an octopus, and it gave me this, and now I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. And finally, we have this frog. It's fairly interesting, just not interesting enough for me to actually do anything with. I like the markings. It looks kind of like it's crying. I don't know what's wrong with it, but yeah, I still just wanted to show it off. Okay, for the next one that we're making, I'm going with this koala. I really love the coloring of that sort of grayish blue. I like the fact that she's got a design on her head. A lot of villagers in game have stuff like that, like think Filbert or Peanut or something like that. So I thought that that would be cool and a nice little distinction for her. She kind of looks like an old man, like with wrinkles around her mouth, and also she's only got blush on one side, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of interpreting for this. I'm using this mainly as just like a concept photo at this point. Yeah, the farther that I get into this, the more I'm just using the picture as like a frame of reference or just a very loose interpretation for what the villager ends up looking like, because I really cannot get this as close to the picture as I would like for it to be. That's looking about how I want it to. Not really like the AI picture, but I think it looks really cute. The more that I look at the villager, the more that I feel like the AI just kind of ripped off Filbert and then put it on a koala. With that being said though, this is extremely cute. She kind of looks like she was made specifically to be like one of those cute, lovable characters, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm wondering how much of that was my doing versus the AI, because like I said, I had to do a lot of interpreting. It's not really that close. Looking at them side by side, they're actually closer than I thought they were going to be. The in-game model just looks like it had like facial reconstruction surgery or something like that from the picture, but I could definitely see people really liking this koala villager. I just added a new koala villager to Animal Crossing. She is light gray and blue and has a circle on her head. Her name is... her name is Koala-ette. She is such a sweet girl and loves to eat honeycomb. I hope you enjoy her as much as I do. I suppose they can't all be winners, so here's Koala-ette the koala. And last up, we have this bear villager. This one is a bit of an alternate because, like I had mentioned earlier, I wanted to do that elephant, but it ended up not working out, so I switched out with this one that I thought would work maybe a little bit better. I thought this one also kind of looked like a clown, so I thought that that would be a good kind of switch out, and it looks pretty similar to a bear. I think the proportions may be kind of close, so I want to see how that'll look. The only thing that sucks about not having symmetry is that whenever I choose one side, that means that the other side is not going to look correct. So whenever we compare the two images, there's always going to be one thing that doesn't look right, even though we didn't really have a choice. I'm actually feeling much less confident about this one than I thought. That's the issue with these, is that you think that it looks pretty close, but then putting it on a model, you realize how much difference there is in the picture versus the actual model. Yeah, this one looks alright. The bear villagers in the game have a much wider face, and in the AI photo, it almost looks like it was taken at an angle, so that really slims down the face even more. Once it's stretched out like this, it doesn't quite look right. Maybe this would have worked a little bit better on a cub, I'm not really sure, but it's not that bad. I like the markings above and below the eyes. I think the AI is really good at doing interesting eyes that people typically wouldn't think of whenever they're designing a character, so it's really good in that sense. Comparing the two, yeah, I can kind of see it. I think the AI picture is definitely a lot better. The In-game model, I think, would definitely need a lot of tweaking and polishing for it to be ready to actually be in the game, but it's not that bad. Alright, all that's left is giving her a name. I added a new bear villager to Animal Crossing. She is purple with white facial markings and pink blush and ears. Her name is Lilac, and she is an Uchi villager. She loves fashion and wants to be the best of all time. I hope you like her. Lilac is a great name. I think that fits her really, really well. I actually love that name a lot. So there's Lilac the bear. Here's the lineup of villagers. Kind of going from left to right, it goes down in quality, but we've got Forest the wolf, Koala Bet the koala, Rusty the dog, and Lilac the bear. Comparing this batch of villagers to the batch of villagers that I did in the last video, this one has much higher highs but also much lower lows. It was a lot harder this time finding pictures that I could actually go off of that weren't just a horrible mess. I think that may be because I was excluding a couple species from that. My main takeaway from this is that AI is an interesting tool in theory, and I think that it can be a good jumping off point, but you do have to have that human touch to really polish things and make it look more correct than it does. Like I mentioned before, the AI does really good with eyes and coming up with ideas that you typically wouldn't think of, so I think that would be the best way to utilize an AI in design, is just to take ideas and run with them. As always, this was a super fun experiment to try, and I would love in the future to be able to come back and try this again just to see how AI has continued improving. That's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already liked the video and you did enjoy, consider giving it a like. It helps me out. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one.